Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special episode of Extra Time TV. The Champions League, which is what anybody who likes football is talking about, just finished. And Chelsea are now the champions with a lone goal from Mr. Havertz, a guy that a lot of people criticize in the 42nd minute, but it was enough to give Chelsea the glory over Manchester City. Once again, my initial reactions are Pep got it wrong again at a crucial time. James, let's hear your initial reactions to this particular game.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, Pep, in my opinion, got it wrong. I mean, we spoke about it before the game. Fernandinho should have played, he didn't. I think it did not give them that breakup player which they needed, and Chelsea hit them on the counter-attack. I mean, several times, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they had 7 or 8 chances in goal, maybe 2 only on target, the one and then maybe one other. But Chelsea were awesome throughout. I mean, I think every man played their socks off. I was really impressed by Reece James and Chilwell on both backs. I mean, we spoke about it before the game. I thought that could be a weakness, but I'll eat my words. Those two were absolutely outstanding. And Kante, as we know, he was everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And it was a great pass from Mason Mount. But we know he can do that. He can make that pass. And he really set himself up to be one of the best young players in the world. And it was a great finish from Havertz. So great game, very interesting, very exciting. Had me on the edge of my seat for the whole game. So it was a cracker, yeah.
Yeah, and it's trending right now. It's hard to not talk about this game, but, without mentioning Pep. But, kudos to Chelsea. I think they got it right. Tuchel got his tactics spot on, with the 3 at the back, which you mentioned. And, eventually he could switch to a back 5, which apparently completely nullified Manchester City, which, he has done. He's had a good record against Pep, and Pep really could not find a solution to this. And Chelsea, a lot of people highlighting a couple individual players. And, it could have been even 2-0 earlier on if Havertz was a little more decisive and had a little more confidence. There was a chance he had that he just kind of fluffed at it. But his movement was good. N'Golo Kante is obviously an outstanding player. But collectively, I was very impressed with how Chelsea was set up. What really baffles me, James, is that, Pep Guardiola has been accused, and we spoke about this in our preview, folks, you can check it out, of tinkering too much and over-analyzing the game. We made our predictions of what the starting lineup should be, as well as many other people, so it's not just us. And, it's logical, but it seems like he tinkers for the sake of tinkering. And, Fernandinho not starting. I was surprised about Sterling starting. That was surprising to me. And then also, he tweaked the formation in such a way that it just didn't work. And, what surprised me the most, James, is that when Chelsea scored that first goal, it never really seemed like Man City had a chance. In fact, I would even say the players looked like they were defeated way before the final whistle. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think Man City looked shell-shocked. I mean, I think they're surprised which Chelsea turned up in a sense, because we know, Tuchels came in and, he gave us a masterclass today. But, there's been some games in the Premier League that they kind of, I don't want to say they blow hot and cold, but you didn't know what Chelsea was going to turn up. Obviously, they were excellent. But from Pep's point of view, I think he just got it wrong. I think key players did not turn up today, Mm-hmm. I think, obviously the injury to De Bruyne was a bad one. I think he would have had an influence on the game. But even the inability to counter quickly or to change. We talked about it before the game about how the midfield 3 change a lot with the front 3, so they switch back and forward. That didn't happen today, but then again, you've got to give Chelsea a lot of kudos there. As I say, Kante marked several players out the game. He was everywhere. I thought the Chelsea backline was awesome. And as you mentioned, that back 3, which switched to sometimes a back 5, really paid dividends for Tuchel. And as I say, I think it was a masterclass, because initially, before the game, I had said that could be a weakness because of the pace that obviously Man City possessed, but they didn't use it. They looked like a team they looked like a middle of the table team who was, blowing hot and cold, and they were just missing their leader today, And maybe it was Fernandinho. They just looked out of sorts, and you could see it, I think, on Pep's face throughout the game. You watched him on the sidelines, and he just looked, a little bit baffled. But again, you have to give tremendous credit to Chelsea. They were absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and you used the term where they looked a bit like a mid-table team, because they look like they were not able to find solutions the way how Chelsea was set up. And that's a formation, those who know me really well, that that 3-5-2 formation is so flexible. And even, you could switch to a 3-4-3 and then switch to 5 at the back. And, the midfield players of Manchester City looked devoid of ideas. They could not get past because, the middle was tucked in really nice. And if they tried to go wide, you had the wide players, tucking in Kyle Walker, from Manchester City, and on the other end, Diaz and these guys try to push up a high line. And, when it got to a certain point, you can see that they were just making, vertical passes, up and down, across the field. But they were not penetrating between the lines at all. And they didn't seem to have that player that could really do it. That I hate to say it. It's probably not a great reference, but, like a Leo Messi type one, Neymar type player who could just give you that magic. De Bruyne usually has that. I think Mahrez looked, uncharacteristically, shaky. And the defense, who a lot of people have been praising for Manchester City, I was highly critical in my post-match reaction on Instagram Live, where Diaz, Stones, and Walker struggled. And I think it's a combination of nerves and how Chelsea was set up. And I'm really not trying to take away from the quality of these players, but Tuchel really showed his class in this game tactically. He studied Manchester City, and it seems like these sort of teams, like how Pep plays, it's very easy. You kind of sit back. I hate to say the generic sit back and counter, but that's kind of what they did. And then when, Chelsea scored that goal, Manchester City eventually got a little bit more brave, and eventually they were torn, James. They were torn because it looked like, yes, we want to get an equalizer, but we're scared of the counter-attack. And eventually they almost did. And if, Pulisic was a bit more clinical, that game could have been ended way before the end. And another thing that really disturbed me, James, it's the choice of substitutions and the way how they were used. We already spoke about the lineup. In a game like this where it wasn't working, De Bruyne got injured. I thought he should have brought on, Sergio Aguero maybe a little bit earlier. Maybe it's an injury concern. I don't know. But, this is a big game. You have to put all your cards on the table. And I probably would have brought on Sergio Aguero maybe in the, 65th to 70th minute instead of when they did. Because he did add a little bit of dynamic movement, which started to create some half chances. But by then it was too late. And it seems like if Manchester City only started to really realize, oh my goodness, we're going to lose this close to the 90th minute. And even with they started doing long balls up the field. Their passing, James, was shocking. That's what they're known for. I saw a lot of misplaced passes. Kyle Walker had multiple turnovers. Diaz looked nervous. Stones, a couple times, got pulled out of position. And it just was not working.
But to come to that, Andre, I noticed something, and I don't know if everybody noticed it or not, but Kyle Walker, I thought, had a decent game going forward. But what I thought happened was he was trying to overcompensate because the midfield was not doing their job as well as normal. He was getting forward, which meant obviously Stones and Diaz had to come across. And their left fullback, which I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name, the Ukrainian guy, he was getting caught basically too far apart from obviously Diaz and Stones, which made a huge gap. And if you watch the goal, obviously Mason Mount played that excellent pass through to Havertz and he scored. Now Mason Mount plays between the lines, a lot of the time, even though he's a midfielder. So this tactically, Pep should have noticed this early on because Walker was bombing down the line, trying to get forward. Stones was switching across. So there was this huge gap. And as I say, because I'm going to attempt it, Zugachenko, whatever his name is, was trying to come across, there was that gap between him and Diaz. And that is what, there was 2 or 3 times that I saw it happen. So to me, Pep could have done something early on to correct it. He did not. He got punished, obviously, when Havertz scored in the 42nd minute. But that was, to me, something he could have corrected early on to stop it happening. Yeah, it's interesting because, as I say, that would have changed the game. But as I say, don't take anything away from Chelsea. They were phenomenal, as I say, throughout the game. And I think what was nice is, Man City just won the Premier League. Chelsea they've now, obviously, they lost the cup, as I say, a few weeks ago. So they now have some silverware too. So, I'm very happy for them.
Yeah, and this time around, and we spoke about this before we went on air. It's almost a mirror of the last time Chelsea won. But I would even say they deserve to win it more this time around because that run they had in 2011 was just strange and almost bizarre because I think Andre Villas-Boas was the coach at the time. and he got sacked. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. All you Chelsea fans, let me know, but I think it was him. And Di Matteo comes in, not really a well-known coach. Nobody knew him. Goes all the way to the final and wins in the most unlikely fashion, defeating a very strong Bayern Munich at home, which to me was amazing. I really don't know. I think it was Benfica or somebody else they also got by, which was a really strong team. And it's almost a mirror of this. Frank Lampard got sacked. Tuchel comes in, takes them to glory. And PSG must be wondering, James. They got rid of this guy because I guess he was deemed not good enough. And he goes, and he's a coach I always liked since he was in Germany. I think PSG are probably kicking themselves right now, trying to figure out what did we do wrong. And to me, as a neutral, I think Chelsea fully deserved winning this final. They hit form at the right time. Tuchel got his tactics right. The entire team played really well. And if Havertz and Werner, because I think I said Havertz really had an opportunity. I think if these two guys really were on form, this game could have been ended, in the first half. It could have been even 2-0, James. So, possession, it was, of course, Manchester City had more possession. But at the end of the day, Pep got it wrong when it mattered. Do you think he's going to stay at Manchester City now, or, he's going to stick around and try to go for it one more time?
I mean, I think he came in to do a job to win the Champions League. So that plays in the back of my mind and, well, in his mind as well. But it was at stages in the game I looked at his face and he just looked dejected. So I hope he doesn't go and do something silly. I mean, we're seeing a lot of coaches jumping the gun and, resigning. I mean, we saw it with Zidane. We saw it with, we saw Pirlo get the sack, for example, at Juventus. So there's lots of jobs available at the moment. But coaching's a funny game. You can be the best coach in the world today and tomorrow you can be classed as the worst. I mean, and it's a game that you can long periods and short periods. So you never know. I mean, I think the fact that he has such a huge backing behind him in terms of finance at Man City, it'd be very hard to leave. But I know, money's not everything, So we will see. I mean, as I say, there's a little suspicion in the back of my mind that he could leave. But again, they won the Premier League. So, I mean, it's a hard one.
Yep, Pep is, he had that same issue in Bayern Munich where they were just dominating the Bundesliga. And, eventually Pep just had enough and he left. And strangely enough, Bayern Munich won the Champions League afterwards. So I think, it's really going to hurt Pep. And he actually, to be honest with you, I think I mentioned this before, he did look, which to me was disappointing. If you look at the mannerisms of Tuchel and Pep, Tuchel looked completely composed and confident. It wasn't arrogance. It's a thin line, of course. But Tuchel looked like, listen, this game is ours. He came with complete confidence. Maybe that was because of the recent form they had against Manchester City. Pep looked nervous. Pep was kind of walking around, or he had this kind of nervous, nail-biting look on his face. He looked defeated, visually. Like when it was around the 50th minute, I was looking at the game and I was like, Pep looks like, he's here we go again. Like, this is what's going to happen. He didn't look like, the dynamic Pep who walks around and was like, let me be clever and, do something. He looked devoid. And, a lot of people I saw in all the forums and Twitter and social media were criticizing Pep for his use of using the 4-3-3 instead of going at, he always used that, but that variation of the 4-3-3, where before he was not using really an out-and-out striker. But, it's at the end of the day, James, he got it wrong. Congratulations to Chelsea. Chelsea fans, I know out there, a lot of Manchester City fans in Trinidad and Tobago, which we're from, saying that, it was lucky or whatever. I would love to hear your response to that. I don't think so. But, I'd love to hear the banter in between you fans. I know there's a lot of people I know who support Chelsea. Justin Sadu as well for the Trinidad and Tobago national team. I know he was really hoping Manchester City would win this game, James. So, do you have anything else to add to this, James, besides Pep getting it wrong?
The only thing I would add to it is, if you look at the shots and goal stats, I can't really remember Man City having any real test on Mendy's goal. There was one or two balls that got, thrown across the face of the goal at the end. They were obviously trying to get Aguero into the game, but I just don't think they did enough offensively, going forward. And, as I say, they had 7 shots on goal, only one was on target. But that does not seem a team that's, going to win the trophy. So it's disappointing. I think it was a very spicy game. There was lots of individual battles, which I loved. And I think for the neutral fan, as I say, it was excellent. It was exciting. It was everything a final should be. Yes, you want not hundreds of goals, but lots of goals. But it was a final. It was interesting. It was exciting. And as I say, well done to Chelsea.
Yep, and just to end things off, our fans on the Twitter polls and also on Instagram, on Twitter, if I remember correctly, 80% of the fans said that Man City were going to win, and then I can't remember what it was now, but I remember it was probably in the 90s on our Instagram poll that a lot of people said that Manchester City were going to win. So you guys, Man City were clearly the favorites for many people, but that's football for you. Tuchel got it right. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. James and I will definitely have to chat some more about this. And also, James, we have the Euros, the Copa America, and lots of football, even our World Cup qualifiers as well, all over the planet. There's lots of football to talk about, folks. So Chelsea and Manchester City fans, I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say, because I saw people commenting when I was doing the Instagram live, James. Maybe we could do one of those. Try something a little bit different where two of us can do an Instagram live after games and have a quick response and engage with some of our fans, because we know that's the preferred choice of social media. So, folks, once again, James and I will continue to cover these things. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, comment in the comment section below. Purchase our merch, support the channel, support the kids that are, struggling during the COVID-19 pandemic. And once again, let us know what you think, because this game was exciting for me, but let us know what you think. So, folks, thank you for joining us. Just a reminder, everyone, for more episodes with Shaka Hislop, be sure to head over to our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more updates, interviews, and content.